Welcome back to DBL. As more Americans get vaccinated against COVID-19, more and more questions keep coming up about the vaccines. Dr. Payal Kohli joining us live. And today we're going to answer your questions, DBL Nation. So let's dive right in. Okay, Payal Kohli, here we go. Dr. Payal Kohli. Veronica from Facebook wants to know, can you get COVID-19 in between your vaccine doses? Great question.
Yes, great question, Veronica. You can absolutely get COVID-19 in between the doses because you're only partially protected. In fact, you can also get it even after you're fully vaccinated, as we have seen. And one of the reasons for this is because we tend to let our guard down a little bit too. I know I'm doing this myself, a little less careful once you're vaccinated because you feel a little more confident. So keep that guard up even after you've, been vaccinated, whether it's one dose or two. And the studies are telling us that the rates are pretty low. So even though it's technically possible to get sick, the study just came out in the New England Journal of Medicine this week that said only 1.82% infections in those who are partially vaccinated healthcare workers that are exposed a lot. So pretty low rate, but still possible.
Great news. All right, Doc, Becky from YouTube wants to know, does everybody make antibodies after getting a vaccine?
A lot of people are asking this as well, Becky. So the answer is we don't know in response to this vaccine because we haven't really looked. What we think is that most people, the majority of people, should make antibodies that are detectable about 3 to 4 weeks after they get the vaccine. Now, we also know with the history of other vaccines that there's some subset of people that are not going to make antibodies even after they get the vaccine. But that doesn't mean that they don't have some protection because there are other types of immune cells like T cells and other types of cells that can offer protection. So I'm basically telling my patients, Jeff, not to get an antibody test after they get the vaccine because it comes out negative, they'll panic, and it may not mean that they're not protected.
Okay, and that kind of leads into my next question, Doc. Marcus from Facebook says, can a COVID vaccine give you or me a false positive test?
So a COVID vaccine will give you a positive test, hopefully, on an antibody test, just like we're talking about. So 3 to 4 weeks after you get the vaccine, we're hopeful that you do have those antibodies that turn positive for that spike protein. But it should not give you a false positive test on a viral test. So if you're feeling under the weather and you've had the vaccine, it's still important to go and get tested.
So Tito asks, and this is interesting from Twitter, if you test positive, Dr. Payal Kohli, for antibodies, how do you know if it's from the vaccine or from a natural infection?
Yeah. So if we check your antibodies against the spike protein, which is that protein that's part of the vaccines, remember, we're not going to know whether you got those antibodies from the vaccine or from natural infection. But there's actually an antibody test for a different part of the virus, the capsule part of the virus, that you can only have antibodies to if you got the natural infection, because none of the vaccines that we're using have that protein in them. So if you check for that capsule protein antibody, you'll be able to tell whether or not it's from the vaccine or from infection.
Fascinating. Okay, so Dr. Kohli, we saved our very own question for last. Look at this video from Mexico where researchers have designed a nose-only mask meant to be worn while you eat. So we got to know what you think. Is this a breakthrough or more like a lunchtime clown nose?
So I have to say that I really want to see this mask on Jeff and Al because I think it is nothing more than a clown mask. Because really, I mean, okay, if you think about the theory of it, you've got two portals of entry, right? The nose and the mouth, and you're covering up one portal. But the point is you're generating a lot of droplets out when you're chewing, and you're also obviously putting things inside your mouth, so you're actually exposing yourself to risk. And the only masks that work really well at stopping transmission are the ones that have a tight fit. So I think this is nothing more than a Halloween costume
gimmick
that I want to see this year on these guys.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Consider it done. For all the work, all the help she's given our show, that's easy.
I don't want that. I don't want that picture getting out there. Get people thinking other things.
That's true.
Yeah. Look at Jeff's mask from Daily Best Life canceled.
Payal, you and I are twinning in our tangerine.
Oh, yes, we are. I hadn't noticed. You're right.
Well, yours is a non-emergency color. That's usually a color of a helicopter that's picking you up off the side of a hill. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Dr. Kohli, I'll be texting you soon. I'll be venting to you. We'll be right back.